And we're live again. So happy Wonder Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to our Floxies Community live show. If this is your first time here, we're an international community for women in UX, UI design and Webflow development. And we gather with our community every week, every Wednesday, and we invite guest speakers from either the design or the Webflow world to come and teach our community. So it's an amazing opportunity for us not only to get together and network, but also to acquire new skills. So if you've been following our events, you might have seen that we've been focusing a lot on design because we want to really build a strong foundation before we start tapping onto development. And so today in particular, we will be focusing on UX research. And so we have Chris as a guest speaker. She's one of our very first Floxies here, actually. We're quite a young community, so we only started a bit more than a year ago. And we're super fortunate to have over 1,500 women around the world in our community today. And one of the main goals that I have for our community is to empower and give visibility to our members. And so one of the ways is to use the experts that we have in the community and have them come into our Wonder Wednesday. And without further ado, let me show you what it looks like. So we will be getting into our Gather Town, which is the sort of metaverse that we use to have and host these events. So let me join everyone else up on stage. All right. Ta-da-da.
Yes.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I was just launching the live and I was telling everyone else on the internet how amazing we are. And so it's amazing to have you here. Fantastic to have you here, Chris, as our guest today. I was just telling everyone that you're one of the first Floxies here, and you joined over a year ago now. And I'm so proud and grateful to have you in our community. It's been incredible to witness your journey and just like see how much you've grown. And so it's just a pleasure to have you here today, kind of teaching us new skills. And I was also saying that we've been focusing a lot on design because we really want to build a strong foundation before tapping onto development later on during the year. And so because design also is such a wide kind of subject, we want to really tackle each and every shade, let's say, of this beautiful topic. And so today in particular, we will be exploring UX research with you, or as your title is beautifully saying, empowering design decisions with user insights. But before we get there, would you like to kind of introduce yourself a little bit and maybe tell us a little bit more about what we'll be talking about today?
Yes, absolutely. So as a UX UI designer, I'm excited to talk about UX research. You know, there's misconception that it's reserved just for big companies with a budget, and it's only can be carried out by experts. I mean, of course, it does sound a bit intimidating for designers or designers beginners. But did you know that the word actually research means seek out or search closely? So, I mean, we're always looking for something, right? Myself, I can't imagine working on the project without doing some sort of search. So, and I'm sure you do too. And whether it's available data analysis or a stakeholder interview, I think it's an important part of any design process.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's true that you say like people might feel a little bit scared of this subject. I don't know. For me, like personally, I'm not okay. I need to find the right words because it's like it might look complicated or something that you're gonna have to spend a lot of time on, or something that is not as exciting as going into the actual design. And so that's why we have you here today, because we want to really fight that misconception and show that UX research not only is important for our projects, but it's also exciting. And if you're doing it, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy to be here and unpack this topic with you all.
Fantastic. So, yes. Should I get your slides up? There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I can see them.
Okay. So, hi everyone tuning in today. My name is Kristina. In this community, I go by Chris. Today, I want to share with you my journey transitioning into the tech industry as a 30-year-old female immigrant. Next, we'll explore different types of research, common methodologies, their application in the design process. And then I will cover how to inform design decisions with user feedback. I'll also touch a bit on emerging technologies like AI, machine learning, and how they can assist us in and simplify our process. So I'll wrap up by providing tips for executing effective research that leads to better designs. And at the end, during the Q&A, I will try to answer your questions, and we can all chat about our experiences looking for missing puzzles. Sounds good?
Amazing. I love it. Sounds perfect.
I mean, quite a few people joined. I would like to know what you do, what you study, what you're interested in. So find your reaction emoji and just send it.
I love that. I love an interactive event.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
Wow,
We have a
no
bit of
code.
everything. We got no codes, UX, UI. Oh, do we have unicorns here? I'll do the unicorn.
Unicorns? No celebrities among us?
I'll be a unicorn. There you go. Amazing. Well, we have quite a variety of people and expertise.
Wow, all kinds of tech birds here. That's awesome. Okay. So for real, no matter what you do in the tech industry or what is your title, you are still involved in creating a product or service that will be used by others. And in the tech industry, others, we call them users, customers, consumers. By engaging with that product, they will decide if it gets their job done. So creating solutions that don't meet their needs or expectations will result in poor user experiences and a potential product failure. So is it worth the risk and all the effort? Well, it's for you to decide. And I do believe that anyone can and should look for clues, facts, new knowledge, and apply those insights to their decision-making process. It just makes all the difference. Okay, before we begin exploring that topic in depth, I would like to start off with sharing my story. I'm connecting with you all from the greater Boston area. I make my living by designing digital experiences for professional users. I specialize in designing dashboards for enterprise SaaS and data visualization in the lighting industry. I am fortunate enough to work fortunate enough to work for a company that makes a positive environmental and social impact, and on a team of talented people who have become my work family over the past year. But the road to get here wasn't covered with rose petals. I was born and raised in Ukraine, where I earned a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering. In 2015, I moved to the US, and I faced a major identity crisis. I didn't know who I was anymore, what was my purpose. Language and cultural barrier didn't make it easier. And after a long time of self-exploration and many odd jobs, I hit the wall. I knew that I wanted to grow professionally. I knew that I wanted to make a decent living. And because at that time I was so shocked at how much this country generates food waste, I wanted to develop a tool that would help people to manage their resources better. Well, this is how I found out about UX, user experience. So I completed a bootcamp where research was ingrained into the design thinking process. And I didn't know how it could be done differently until I started working in the industry. So I started my career as a UX UI designer and a Webflow developer. First responsive website with a blog where I learned how to use their CMS. So for me, it was a game changer. I could design, I could execute, I felt powerful. I learned about padding, margins, responsiveness, a little bit about accessibility, and it was really easy to understand how to use auto layout in Figma, when they just introduced it. So I worked as a freelancer for a while, and based on my project, was able to build cases for my portfolio, which soon helped me to land my first job. So in my current role, I work and participate in many exciting projects, and it helps me really to develop my skills in user research. Also, earlier this year, I completed the UX research bootcamp from Emorizely, where in only 15 weeks, and in collaboration with students from North America, we covered various aspects of generative and evaluative UX research. I mean, we do feel tired, and we look tired. It was really a lot to grasp, but trust me, we're so happy to graduate.
That made me laugh because I'm looking at your faces here. Was it like quite a hard course? You look as if you just came out of a big challenge, but successfully.
It was a big challenge. The challenge was also to collaborate with people. We had to do a lot of work outside our bootcamp hours. So, we had to connect with each other. And so it was not that easy as we thought it would be.
But you made it, so, congratulations.
Yes.
And yeah,
Yes.
the polar bear is looking fresh.
Yeah, he just didn't really want to relieve his identity, I guess. So at the beginning of my career, whenever I was preparing to look for things, my unprepared mind was like filled with different annoying thoughts, like, okay, what's the right methodology, right? Where can I find participants? Do I have budget? Do I even have enough time? So it was a lot to manage. But I just knew that if I wanted to have a successful career, I needed to find a way to make it simpler and easier for myself. So it wasn't really like at that time really fun or something that I really wanted to do. So it was my goal to make it a little bit exciting and fun. So I started approaching it as an investigation, being a detective collecting evidence to uncover the crime, minus the crime, of course. So I focused on one method at a time. I asked for help, which wasn't easy to do. I learned from others. I made mistakes. I reflected, and I tried again. And I embraced this organic approach to learning new things and trying no longer to force myself with this a know-it-all first approach. I'm curious about what UX research means to you. I'll ask you to come up with words that are associated with research. I mean, don't be shy, let it out. Good or bad aspects, it's all good. So whatever comes to mind, just send it out to our chat.
You can use the chat at the bottom right and the one that goes to our event. So it says event 9 people. That's the right one. So yeah, I'm just starting to dot down some ideas. User personas, what else? UX research, comparison. Irina says it's all a mystery to me. Competitors, psychology. Sorry, I'm just like going wild, like anything that comes to mind as you were saying. Know who actually uses your product. Yeah. User research, finding what is the most important to potential users. User needs and goals. It's very user-centric. Finding the underlying motivation and desires of the users.
Wow, Claudia, you're being really proactive.
Well, that's from all the people. That's from all the Ankita, Tori, Nancy, Gabriella. They were all saying that. Yeah. In the chat.
Yes, exactly. Finding what's the most important user needs and goals. Yeah. Anything else?
So I would say overall, like it seems to be very user centric. Also competitive analysis, maybe, says Gabriela.
Yeah, I mean, you're all right. All these words and thoughts are really relevant. So the real intention behind user research is to understand the people who will be using a product, right, and gather insights about them and their behavior. So it helps us to create products, and by products I mean anything you're working on, really, that truly meet needs of the users, right, and provide a great user experience. I'm not afraid to say that UX research is the key to business success and our own fulfillment as tech professionals. So we sense why it's important. It's a lot of buzz, surrounded user research. But what are the risks of skipping research? So here too, through stories. In 2007, Microsoft released Windows Vista. I don't know if you remember. I definitely do. And so the OS introduced like significant changes to the UI and functionality. And so a lot of users were like really confused how to use it. And so, of course, they didn't, run a thorough research. And it was a really negative impact on the company. And just a recent story about Snapchat. I don't use Snapchat. I read about this case in 2018. Snapchat redesigned their app, and without testing, of course, with users. So many users found the new interface really counterintuitive and complained that the loss of popular features. So, of course, Snapchat's, faced a backlash and a stock value drop. I mean, it's a nightmare that comes true for any company. But even if you are working on the project as a freelancer, you really want to make sure that you deliver a great user experience, right? And you're not just your clients, but the end user who will be using your product it can get their jobs done, right? Can get really experience good, quality of your project. And one thing to understand that UX research is really important, part of the process. But another thing is when you work on the team of people in the company, and then you have to convince and educate others that it's important. So I sort of understand the reasons why these companies allowed it to happen. So let's learn from, the mistakes of others. And for now, let's get into the meat and potatoes of UX research. Any questions so far?
No, I guess I could just comment that even in a smaller scenario, like what it could be like community building, that's something, that I use as well. Whenever I started off without experience, I would be building all these channels and like creating all these experiences. And then, but is that what the community really needed, And so now before I add an extra channel, I always make sure that I do some kind of research or I listen to the feedback from you all. And so I don't overdo things just because I think it's the right thing to do.
Have you noticed any difference with and without research?
100%. Before I used to have this massive server with all a channel for everything, and so the feedback I would receive from people is that our community or server was a little bit overwhelming, especially if they hadn't used the Discord before and they didn't know where to post things. And so I was like, well, that's a really bad kind of user experience. And so I stripped everything down, went back to the drawing board, like from scratch. Okay, what is it that we actually need? What do the members want, and what are they trying to achieve, and what can I create for them in order, to help them reach their goal? And so obviously I noticed a huge difference where people now come into the community, they follow an onboarding, they find the right channels where to post their questions, and hopefully they know where to get their answers as well. And I also have a channel where I listen to their feedback, so it's an ongoing process. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed the difference. It's much easier to find information now. So
that's all down to UX research.
Yay. Okay. So there are different types of research, of course. Generative research explores and generates new ideas, insights, concepts. The goal is to define the problem you'd like to solve and design the best possible solution. On the other hand, evaluative research focuses on assessing and evaluating existing designs or prototypes to ensure that it's easy to use, it works as intended, and it meets user needs. But both generative and evaluative research often involve qualitative and quantitative methods to gather data and obtain specific metrics for analysis. So quantitative will be gathering different aspects of UX design, and I will explain it just a bit later. Qualitative research is based on observations conversations, and focuses why is something happening, whereas quantitative research involves gathering numerical data to find patterns and measure different aspects of UX. And it focuses on what and how much of user behaviors. I mean, it's understanding these research types as well as methods will help you to apply them correctly in your design process. So common research methods. There are tons of research methodologies. Let UX researchers to know them all. We designers can start with the most commonly used, interviews, surveys, and usability studies. So interviews, there are conversations between researcher, designer, and participant, and they examine user behavior and perceptions. So they provide insights into user motivations, emotions, even feelings. And a few things to note: open-ended questions encourage participants to share their thoughts and feelings. And open-ended questions, they start with why something's happening, walk me through, tell me about. So this way you can get more insights into their experience. So active listening also, it's a great skill, and as well as follow-up questions will help you to dig deeper into their responses. So a good rule of thumb for interviews is to recruit 5-7 participants. For surveys that involve distributed questionnaire. So surveys is when you're trying to collect quantitative data, right? And surveys provide insights into demographic information, which is market, geography, gender, age, and other information, behavior, and user preferences. Key things to know about surveys: carefully design your survey, make it as clear and concise as possible, use no more than 7-9 questions, and avoid using open-ended questions. So at this, at this kind of research method, you want to just gather as many responses as possible. And usability studies. So usability studies, it's about evaluation and the ease of use and effectiveness of a product or a prototype. So they provide insights into user interaction with the product, and they can give you a great understanding of how your solutions actually impact your user experience. So studies can be either qualitative or quantitative. So during these studies, you can ask questions, or you can just observe your participants just perform certain tasks. Things to remember or know is testing with a small number of people, around 3 to 5, can uncover most usability issues. Also, to encourage participants to think aloud and share your experiences and put them in ease. Explain them that you are testing a product and not them. Also, another point is really important to mention. It's before conducting study, it's a good idea to screen participants. Screening is when you're ensuring that they match your target audience. How you can do that? You can, again, create a questionnaire form beforehand and send it out to them before conducting a research. Any questions?
Yeah, let's see. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat, either here on Gather if you're from our community, or the YouTube people that are watching, and LinkedIn and Twitter. Feel free to just drop your questions in the chat and we'll pull them in for you. But yeah, do we have any questions right now from the community, or should we keep going? Feel free to raise your hand if you do have a question. If not, I guess we can continue, Chris.
Yeah, let's continue. So discover, explore, test, and listen are 4 common stages of product development process. And I'm sure you have your own process in place. But it's never a linear process. So you can always go back depending on the projects and the insights gained from the user research. So throughout the process, you may need to revisit previous stages and iterate based on project requirements, right, or new information. So you can go from the, testing your product back to discover stage if you have a new feature, or if you want to get other people involved in using your product. So by now you probably know that one of the most valuable skills in research is knowing what questions to ask and when, right?
Let's see. Drop your answers in the chat. We also do have a question from LinkedIn, if you want, Chris, if you want to take that.
Yeah, that's okay. That was a question that doesn't require an answer. But anyhow, okay. So
we do have a question from Clarida Brahimaj. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, from LinkedIn. She asks, understanding, okay, how do you select the participants? What methods do you use? I guess it's, related to what we were talking about just before this process.
Do you mean about screening process?
Yeah.
So just quickly to explain, first of all, we have to understand who is our target audience, right? So then when we understand, okay, these people, they live there, they do this is their technical skills. Okay, we know about that. But when you want to hire or get people, recruit people to perform a usability study, you need to understand that those people will have to match the information you have for your target audience, right? So to do that, you have a questionnaire and you just sort of validate their responses that they really match. They from that region, or they have this certain this level of understanding your product. Whatever you need to understand for your study, these questions you will have to ask them. Once you get their answers and they all match, they say, okay, this is checkbox. Okay, they match my target audience. And then if they don't match it, then you look for other participants. You just want to make sure that you have the right people to test it with.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think that answers the question.
All right. Okay, discover stage. So the discover stage is about asking yourself, who's my user? Who's my customer? Who's my client? If you don't know, conducting desk research, and desk research is when you're looking into trends and market reports, will help you to understand who are your customers or users, and also interviews. You can ask your stakeholders, or you can ask, if you're freelancer, you can ask your client about their customers. So this stage will help you to get the ball rolling. Next one is a explore stage. So at this stage, ask yourself, do you have an idea that will address the needs of the customers, right, of the users? If you don't have it, you have to generate ideas. So at this stage, just try to let it out. Like every idea is valid at this stage, so make sure to generate as many as possible. Quantity is important and not quality. And mood boards, brain sessions, co-creation sessions, crazy 8 techniques when you just sketch down different solutions, or contextual interviews. You just go to the environment where your users are and you just listen to them and observe them working in their natural environment. So these methods, activities, will help you to think outside the box. So this idea, this idea will change the world. You pick that solution that you like, you know that this is a valid solution, but you have a sort of doubts. You have to validate those doubts. At this point, you cannot afford to move with that solution until it's being validated. How can you do this? Interviews, again, with users, customers, observations, surveys, feedback session, and even testing low and mid fidelity prototype will help you to answer that. Listen, okay, great. Your solution is launched. Your website is live. That's great. If you are not looking to improve your product, that's great. Enjoy yourself. But if you still want to make it better for users and you don't know how, then competitor analysis, interviews, surveys, A/B testing, where you compare different versions of UI, and usability studies will help you and to improve your product. Okay, I do have an example from my experience. So in 2020, when the pandemic hit, I was working with a group of designers, and we really wanted to make the difference. So at that time, we knew that the elderly, they were the most vulnerable. So we aimed to create a solution that would help minimize the risk of contracting the virus. But however, we really didn't know if they're going to use this tool. So through interviews and survey, we discovered that elderly were really concerned about their safety. So they would prefer to delegate errands such as grocery shopping or picking up prescriptions to people they know. Survey later showed us that they are not particularly savvy. So we created a concept for a volunteering tool that would connect volunteers and those people in need within a few miles of each other and allow contact through text message or a phone call. So again, this is a simple example of how a mixed approach, method, in our case, user interview and survey, shaped our decisions. So here's how to turn feedback into insights and use them to make informed design decisions. Collect feedback from real users through surveys, interview, user testing, and really understand their experiences. Look at the numerical data you collected, such as ratings, rankings, scores, and other metrics. These numbers will provide a high-level overview of user performance. Then dive into qualitative data, right? Get into interview findings, comments. You will understand the reason behind the numbers and identify common patterns. Then you analyze both quantitative and qualitative data to identify, again, patterns and trends and common themes. And for instance, you may notice that a certain category of users struggles with a specific feature. Inform design decisions by prioritizing issues based on the user stories. So now you know qualitative data and quantitative data you can combine, create a narrative, and this narrative will be basically a user story. You just focusing on areas that have the most impact of user experience, right? You might find a lot of findings, but only focus on the impact. questions so far.
No, this is really cool because, now that you're talking about this topic, it's I'm finding it super insightful and helpful, and it made me realize that actually UX research could be quite entertaining, and it's like, it's like when somebody thinks of some sort of job, like, I don't know, a librarian. Like, to some people it could be amazing, and some other people might find it boring. But I'm experiencing that with your presentation right now. It's like it's super insightful, and it's making me want to do some UX research, which is something that otherwise would have been away from my thinking right now, even though it's so necessary. And I'm loving the way that you're walking us through all the little steps, because if you're looking at it from a perspective, like from a wide angle, it looks as if it's some sort of massive study that you have to do, and you always postpone it. You're like, oh, I don't have time to actually do the user research. And that's something that I'm realizing as well in the no code space, or with all these people generating and building all these new tools. But user research needs to be at the very core before you start doing anything, whether it's a website, whether it's a product. You need to understand who's going to use it, who's going to see it, and everything else. And so I love it. I'm loving it so much. And so thank you for that. You're generating that spark into my UX research little, I don't know, hole somewhere in my heart. So yeah, I'm loving it. Thank you so much.
And yes, I mean, you're right. It's really like a big topic, and you might want to just like stay away from it. You don't want to burst that big bubble of problems. But now it depends on your mindset. If you are really eager to learn more, because I am, for example, I'm really curious if my solutions will impact my users. I don't want to just blindly, I mean, of course, based on, best practices and everything, and my expertise as a UX UI designer, I still want to validate that this solution is really useful for my users, Okay, so we're going to jump to another one, quick topic. It's about research tools. And there are many research tools. A few tools that I enjoy using help me to streamline data collection, analysis, and collaboration in UX research. I recently started using two tools, Maze and Dovetail. So Maze, it's a user testing platform, and it helps to create interactive prototypes, and also it has you can also connect it to Figma prototype, and it's really easy. There's no there's no learning curve. You just open it and you just use it. Another one, Dovetail, it's an amazing tool. It's a user research platform, and what it does, it helps you to store all your interview recordings, then transcribe it, then find different findings, and then group them together. I mean, great tool, but they're not free. Google Analytics, probably everyone knows what it is. It's a web analytics tool that provides insights in user behavior and website performance. Great tool. It really helped me a lot in my first job to kind of understand, okay, who's my users, where they are, what they do once they're on the website. Really great tool, and I think it's free. Maybe there's other options that you can pay for, but it's available. So Hotjar is a user behavior analytics and feedback tool, and as you know, it offers heat maps. So heat maps and session recordings and on-site surveys. They have a great selection of different templates, and just overall great tool. So, but I would recommend starting with free tools, right? Free available tools that you have. So
We
Figma,
like free.
We like free. Yes, I agree. FigJam, it's a great whiteboard tool. You can collaborate with your customers and with your clients. Again, Google Forms, Google Meet, those are free tools. You can schedule your interviews and record them. If you use Microsoft products, they offer the same functionality. As a UX UI designer, I am always excited to discuss new trends and technologies, and emerging technologies such as AI and machine learning are really changing the way how businesses conduct user research. And in my humble opinion, we should feel empowered by their capabilities and not depleted. So here's my question to you. What can people do that AI hasn't learned to do yet?
Empathy, that's my answer. And critical thinking as well. It's something that I'm a bit, Bianca says creative thinking. Let's see if we have more answers coming through. But yeah, that's actually one of the things that I woke up with this morning. Like, obviously, unless you've been living under a rock, everyone is talking about AI. And so I see like a crazy amount of articles just saying, how people are scared AI is going to take their jobs and blah, blah, blah. And we keep saying, at least in the community, that, AI is going to help us. We need to be on top of it and make sure that it helps our process. We can optimize it. We can automate our tasks and just make the most out of it. And what I woke up with this morning was just like, okay, instead of us being scared of AI taking over what we do, I'm a little bit scared that we're gonna become a little bit more lazy and become more like AI in the future. So the other way around, like actually people will stop using their creative thinking, their creative thinking as well, like Bianca is saying, and they will become a little bit too reliant onto this technology. That's my latest take on it, as in this morning when I woke up. I was like, actually, we need to be really careful and make sure that we do highlight the fact that we're still pretty much empathic people that can really connect with the user and understand the behavior of other people. But yeah, that's a very long answer. Gabriella.
Yeah.
Gabriella
Thank,
says, oh yeah, what were you going to say, Chris?
just thank you for your perspective on this. It's huge. Some people really, being really careful to talk about that, and some people still denying, but we are in this no matter what do you think about this.
Yeah, I guess it's always good to have a chat and brainstorm, and I'm always very open to hear other people's perspective on this, because that's how we grow, like by learning and talking about certain topics with others. And so yeah, you can always hear me blabbing about everything, so I never shy away. Gabriella says, when you read some of the walls of text AI produces and you notice most of it doesn't make that much sense. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like there are so many people using it nowadays every day that I can spot them on LinkedIn or a blog post. If I read one more event that says unlock the power of, I know where it's coming from. All right. You use it, I use it. I know where it's coming from. But yeah, I guess we need to keep original and keep using our brain and use AI to make your life easier, but don't rely on it too much.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you about empathy. Empathy is our own human ability to understand and share and feelings and perspective of other humans. We are social creatures, right? So we care also about the outcomes of our actions and strive to make decisions that will benefit us, of course, and other people. So, research is not a single output, such as user persona or user journey. So you created those and you think you're done. That's not really the case. It's the process, right? You have to build that empathy through conversations, interviews, through getting to know your users. And this process cannot be fully automated. So no, AI will not take our jobs. I mean, knowing how to correctly use this technology, write the correct prompts, or like having even UX research skills will give you this edge, and plus will keep you relevant in the industry.
Lila's from YouTube is saying user-centric solutions AI can't do as it lacks empathy. So yeah, just following up on what we were saying. And this other comment from Lila's, hi Lila's, makes me smile. The AI doesn't have a humanity accent, and I first read it as an accent. That's it. It's like, for sure AI doesn't have my accent, but which is the same as empathy. And so yeah, it's true. Each and every individual and person comes with a cultural baggage and a background, and so AI is the same. So every time you talk to it, it's always the same kind of robot. I was going to say person, but when you talk about anyone outside of your house or in your house, you know, any other individual, any other human, there's so many beautiful different aspects of it that you can learn about, and it's just like too complex. We're a very complex machine, so yeah, we're still quite unique.
Yeah, but don't forget, like, you making decisions. You know, AI
Yeah.
will not make decisions for you. You have to filter, validate. Yes, it helps you to generate content and everything. You know, I use, you know, AI tools such as like Notion with AI writing assistant and ChatGPT and Midjourney, but I really treat them as my unpaid part-time assistant, you know, and that's it. I'm the one who's going to make that decision, you know, and I'm the one who's going to be responsible for that decision and also that outcome if users are not happy with that experience. So guess what? This is now my trouble, not AI's. So just a, you know, a few words on this.
True. Yeah. But just always be kind, whether you're talking to a person or a robot. Just be kind, because we never know what's going to happen down the line.
I know. Actually, yes. I wanted to mention that as well. Do not share any sensitive information, you know? Like, think about it, about this as, what if you one day open your browser and you see all the search you've done, right? Just being public information from now on. Anyone can just go and see what you searched. Just think about that. So I'm trying to avoid like any you know, any details about projects, what I'm working on. It's just like really kind of overview, right? I'm just trying to mask it, just in case we don't really know. Awesome. Okay, so this is this slide. It's my first AI generated image last year on Midjourney. I was, you know, blown away with this, and probably for a week I was just, you know, in that kind of feeling of wow, what it is, what it does. I was really impressed. So yeah, I can really explain this obsession with outer space and furry fat animals. But this is what I wanted to see as my first output, AI output, and this is what I got.
Awesome. Yeah.
Just really quick. I know. Wow, it's almost 50 minutes.
I know. But we'll try to get at least 5 minutes of Q&A.
Yeah. Okay. So resources, you see it on my slide. I have like these 2 books. Those 2 books are great refreshers. Don't Make Me Think. You probably heard about this one by Steve Krug, and this one, Think Like a Researcher. It's a great refresher. It's always on my table when I'm about to start a new like research. Always great to just you know, just go to the certain topic and just find answers. You will also find other things, you know. Floxies Community. I want to like say that the Floxies Community helped me so many times to find participants and get feedback. You have no idea, you know. It was like really intimidating. Oh my God, where I'm gonna find people to like talk to, you know, everybody's so busy. But honestly, like, this is such a great space where I go there and I know that somebody will be willing to help me, and I can actually too share my feedback on their work. So that's huge. Thank you for that. And a few tips for effective UX research. Stay focused, define clear research goals before starting your study. These goals will help you focus your efforts and find the right research methodologies. Be open-minded. Approach UX research with an open mind and try to avoid biases. I know it's hard, we're all humans, but trust me, it really helps to understand our users better and what they experience, right? Sometimes we really get attached to our solutions. We don't want to let them go, but it's for the better. Used a mixed method approach. Just remember quantitative and qualitative. If you run a survey, make sure you follow up with interview. There could be cases the other way around too. So always get consent. We're working with humans, participants. Just be gentle and prioritize their privacy. And before conducting research, and to avoid any surprises down the road, thank God I didn't have any, but make sure to obtain an informed consent. Consistency is key. Research is an ongoing process, and that should be integrated into the design cycle. So don't consider this as a one-time activity, such as creating user persona and user journey without any research data. And just learn from your users and apply those learnings to improve your designs. I want to thank the Floxies community for giving me the opportunity to share my story and what I know about UX research. This safe and judgment-free space has been a great platform for learning and sharing experiences with like-minded people for me and hundreds of women in tech industry. So to keep it accessible, we need resources for technology equipment, online platforms, and trainings. It will foster collaboration and learning. So every woman, regardless of her background or financial situation, deserves equal opportunities to learn, grow, and thrive in the tech industry. I encourage you to promote diversity and inclusion within the tech industry, and please consider donating to a good cause.
I couldn't have said it any better, Kristina. Oh,
And that's a wrap.
Amazing. Thank you so much. You've been an incredible guest. I was saying, just at the very beginning of our stream today that I'm so proud of you. And one of the things that we strive here at Floxies is to give our experts and our members of the community the visibility they deserve. And I feel like, maybe, I don't know if this is your first speaking gig, but you do deserve all the visibility out there because you're so resourceful and knowledgeable about what you do. And you have a golden heart and you're always trying to help people. So I'm so happy that you're here with us today and you gave us this amazing presentation. And yeah, I feel like I've learned so much from it. And from the chat, I can tell that people are very happy with it as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
It's been fantastic. Yeah, so well said, everything that you said. We do have some time. We have 5 minutes for Q&A. Oh, and it's great to see. I just came out of the full screen and there's more people into the room. That's nice. Hi everyone. Do we have any questions? Feel free to use the emoji at the bottom of your screen. You can raise your hand. Yeah, Irina. And I'll call you out and you can ask your question. Hi.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Chris. So do I understand correctly that user UX research, it always involves some kind of feedback from users? So you need to communicate with users. What I mean is by research, it could be analyzing some data or, that kind of stuff, or it's always talking to actual users?
So it depends on the case, of course. If you have a specific case that you can share, then maybe I will provide a better answer. Sometimes, especially when we have certain experience doing work, right? And then we just know that this is the best way to do certain things. And of course, we have, we have data that can support our claims. Then of course, the second time we have to apply the same solution, we will know that it will just work, right? So we will apply less sort of effort to looking for data from our users. But then yes, the best practice is just to look always for feedback, either from customers or consumers, the end users.
Perfect. Irina, does that answer?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Tori, do you want to go next?
Hi, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for this talk. I found this very, very helpful as someone starting out in UX. So thanks very much. What I would love to hear more about is your kind of transition from freelancing to working for a larger company. And how did your, I guess specifically, how did your research differ between when you were freelancing and now that you work for an employer? What's kind of changed for your process? And I see my connection isn't great, so let me know if I cut out for any of that.
A little pixelated, but I heard your question, so I will try to answer it. So when you freelancer, you understand that you have a certain time to deliver this project, right? So you also understand that if the user research is important, you have to manage that time and you have to use available resources. Of course, if you need to run big research, you have to talk to your client and make sure that client's on board and provides these resources for you. So this is like one, you can call it maybe a struggle sometimes when you want to kind of sell research to your client and client doesn't believe in it. But this is one sort of example. But then when you work for a big company, you're gonna make sure that the people you are working with, they are supporting you with this. Because you UX UI designer, you also have a product manager, you have a product owner, you have other stakeholders across the markets, across the globe, and they have to understand that this is important as well, right? Because they will give you green light, they will give you resources, they will provide you with time to do it. So this is the challenge. The bigger company, more politics, you will have to deal with many more people and you have to convince. Sometimes you will also have to be as an educator and you will have to sell this importance to them. So it involves a lot of presentations, a lot of talkings, a lot of just selling UX research. Or there could be another case, depends on the company, of course. It could be a really customer-driven company and they have a research department and research department just takes care of everything and you just supporting them, they support you. This is like the perfect scenario. But usually that's not the case, so far for me.
Okay, great, thank you.
Brilliant. I would say we have space for one last very quick question. And before we go there, Chris, what's the best way for people to reach out to you? Where should we connect? Besides from our beautiful Discord, of course.
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
I think this is
I'll share your profile. So if you do have any more questions that we didn't have time to cover today, feel free to connect with Chris. Or if you just want to say thank you for a beautiful event today, you can do that as well. All right. Do we have any more questions here from the community while I pull the profile? Let me know if you see anyone, because I'm out of screen right now. I'm looking for your LinkedIn. There you are. All right, I don't see any more questions. And here's the profile. I'm gonna share on LinkedIn and YouTube and everywhere else. Please do connect with Kristina, and also she's in our Discord as well, like you all. So whatever you prefer. Thank you so much once again, Chris. This was incredible, and I'm so happy that you were here with us today again. And yeah, hopefully we'll get another one with you in the future. I'm sure this will be the first of many for your speaking engagements. I truly hope so. And next week we will be talking about how to ace a Webflow interview. So a very hot topic, because everyone here in our community often goes through this process of, posting their portfolio, landing an interview, and then for whatever reason, things don't always go through. And so I thought, and it would be a really great topic for us to have, and just have somebody coming from an agency. So Veronica Pichafogo, she's actually the owner at a Webflow agency here in the UK, and she will come with the perspective of somebody hiring Webflow devs. So what do they expect to see? And so, yeah, that will be our event next week, and I hope you're all invited, of course, and I hope to see you all very soon. I have to now pop over to the Webflow Cafe, where I'm also speaking for another hour, but in Spanish. So if you want to hear me destroying another language, I will be there. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. Keep in touch. Stay safe. If you ever want to talk, you know where to find me. You know that. And thank you again, Chris. You've been absolutely splendid and fantastic. Stay Floxies. Bye. Bye, everyone.